Hello everyone, welcome to the Travel Hub channel. Stop. This is not the Maldives. First, you need to change the angle. Much better this way. In this video I will talk about the Maldives. Find out why at least 1 million tourists come to this island every year. Tens of millions of people around the world dream of being in the Maldives at least once in their life. Understand why newlyweds choose these islands for their honeymoon. Disclaimer, I'm that kind of person. I will talk about the airport, accommodation options, food, entertainment. Explain why you need a coral reef near your island. I think it will be interesting. Let's begin. Republic of Maldives. I always imagined this country to be the benchmark for a winter holiday on the beach, and judging by what I saw and what I'm showing you now, it's true. There are 1196 islands in the Maldives. Of these, only 200 are inhabited locals and almost 150 have resorts. That's all? All others are about 850 islands lost in the Indian Ocean somewhere on the equator, not touched by people at all. By the way, I swam to one of these, but I will tell you about it a little later. On almost all islands here, they have the purest water every day plus 30 degrees. Only you, the ocean and the palm trees. It all looks like a bounty ad. The Maldives is hidden in the Indian Ocean south of India and Sri Lanka. If you look at the size of the country on a map, it may seem that this is not such a small country. It stretches 750 kilometers from north to south and 120 kilometers from west to east. For comparison, something like this, the area is occupied by Hungary or Portugal. But since the territory of country is always considered by land, this coral state has only 298 square kilometers. As a result, the Maldives is in 8th place among the smallest countries in the world. It is a small state in Asia, both in area and in population. It turns out that somehow Malta and Andorra is larger in size than a country with a length of 750 kilometers. Water occupies 99% of the entire area of the Maldives. At the same time, a very large number of locals, especially girls, cannot swim at all. This is such a country of paradoxes. All Maldivian islands are located in atolls. There are 26 atolls in the Maldives. If you say in 10 seconds what an atoll is, it's an archipelago of coral islands in the form of a ring with a lagoon inside. Formed by an extinct volcano, they are mainly found in the Indian and Pacific Ocean. To get to my resort, which you see now in this video, I took the taxi to the airport, flew on 3 planes, rode on a bus from the airport to the pier, and sailed on a boat. Sounds powerful. For me, this trip was like a breath of fresh air, because I haven't been to the airport in 373 days. I just missed the whole atmosphere widely. Who would have thought that a plane to Barcelona in February 2020 would be my last plane that year? Most of all, it was not the long trips that spoiled my mood, but what had to be passed. Negative test for COVID over 96 hours before depart and filling out the online form on the Maldivian side 24 hours before arrival in the country and upon depart back. This information is relevant for April 2021, but I really didn't like the situation when I didn't know whether I would be able to fly or not. However, everything is over. Coming to the Maldives, you can fly to the resort or guest house. Depending on what you choose, it will be a radically different type of experience. What about housing in the Maldives? There are two accommodation options. The first is an island resort, the option that we have chosen. There is one hotel on an island and there are no locals. All Maldivians who work here come here on rotational shift from other islands. There is the most common and expensive type of vacation accommodation in the Maldives. You need to understand that on such an island there will be no store with cola and chips. If you want to eat, you need to go to the hotel restaurant and order some food. If you need to rent equipment for swimming or a tour, then you go to the tour point of the hotel and order what you need. And that's all will be very expensive. But you will have snow-white beaches, a coral reef, water villas, excellent service and food. It will be the holiday that we all imagine when we hear the word Maldives. By the way, I like it one law in this country, which says that the tallest building on the island should not be higher than the tallest palm tree on the island. Therefore, all the islands look beautiful and harmonious. A little later I will tell you about the resort where we stayed, and now about the second placement option. This is guest house on the island with local people. What's the plus? It's much cheaper. It's cheaper to rent a guest house, cheaper to eat. You can eat for $10 in a day. Not for $150 for a romantic dinner with your soulmate on a resort island. You can rent swimming equipment and tours from anyone. As you know, competition is everything. If you really want, you can go on a day tour to one of the resorts. What are the cons? I selected 6 of them. First, this is mosques. The Maldives is a Muslim country and accordingly there are mosques on every island where locals live. This means that with the first rays of the sun, you will be woken up by first prayer. Trust me, it will be heard in all parts of the island, and then you will not be able to fall back asleep. Because some people will start driving mopeds, the locals will make noise. Believe me, from my experience, you will not fall back asleep. You need to be prepared for this. The second is purity. The island with the locals are really dirty. The third is the beaches. If you are a woman, you can only swim in a swimsuit on special beaches, where it will say Bikini Beach. Usually these are beaches that are located next to a guest house. And on the beaches for locals you will not be able to swim, because a woman has to swim with her clothes on. The fourth is alcohol. In the Maldives, it's completely banned. You can't buy it anywhere on the islands with the locals. On resorts it can be done. I wouldn't say that this is a very big minus for me personally, but for someone it can really be a major disadvantage. Fifth, the weekend, which is Friday and Saturday. This applies more to Friday. It's a weekend and practically nothing works. This means that you cannot get a ferry for $20 to your island. You will have to go on a speedboat for $20–40. Of course it's not so expensive as transfer to your resort, but you have to be ready for this. 6. The most important. This is the reason why we refuse to stay at the guest houses. The fact that on the way back you will need to do another PCR test. If it comes out positive, then you will have to stay and self-isolated for 14 days in the Maldives. It doesn't sound so bad, but you will not be able to leave the house. All expenses will be on you. You will need to find accommodation where you can stay for 14 days. Considering that the accuracy of modern PCR test is far from 100%, it will be very disappointing to stay because a PCR test error in self-isolated at the Maldives. And at $85, the cost of PCR test to a trip to the island with the locals. I will tell you about our resort where we arrived. Talking about our hotel, I will tell you about the average resort island in the Maldives, because they are all similar in terms of accommodation, food and entertainment options. We arrived at Riti Beach Resort. This hotel is located in Ba Atoll, and this atoll is one of the finest in the Maldives. It's even protected by UNESCO, since there are many different interesting marine life there. Our island is only 650 by 250 meters in size. You might think, what is a little piece of land? But to me, it's at least 2 times more. There are a lot of interesting locations and entertainment here. It seems to me that I will not even have the time to see everything in 9 days. Our island is located at a distance of 126 kilometers from Mali. This is a bit too much for a boat ride, but not so much for a plane. Therefore, you will not pay so much money compared to some resort that is 300 or 400 kilometers away from the capital of the Maldives. There is a lot of entertainment here. You can go snorkeling, diving, windsurfing, canoeing, to the spa, to the gym, to the swimming pool. Play badminton, squash, billiards, tennis, paddle tennis. You will definitely not get bored here. There are 5 restaurants with different themes. Most importantly, there is a coral reef here. Indeed, a leaf reef with a great quality of interesting fish. This is a distinguishing feature of the resort island from the island with the locals. Most likely, when you arrive on the islands with the locals, you will need to hire a boat every time to go to the reefs or swim there. It's not so convenient. The reason why I started filming this part of the video in this particular place is because there are other resort islands near our resort islands. Behind me is another resort island called Nautilus, Maldives. The most interesting thing is that on our island, villas with breakfast and dinner cost from $180 to $490, depending on the type of villa. But on that island, breakfast-only villas range from $3,000 to $9,200. Of course, I understand that the villas there are probably better, but the difference is just amazing. I decided that I simply have to fly there, take picture and show you what an island looks like, where people can pay $9,000 for one night. So we flew. So, Nautilus, Maldives. This resort is just 1 kilometer away from us. This is verified by drone. There is exactly the same reef, fish, air, weather, sand, palm trees, everything is exactly the same. But it costs 25 times more. Ours is actually okay, the private island just looks like Shanghai compared to this luxury resort. There are only 26 villas here. In addition to bedrooms, each of them has a living room, a fantastic bathroom, a swimming pool and even a personal butler. The territory has its own small bay for yachts and everything else you need for good rest. I think this is a decent option for the next luxury travel video. And if suddenly it so happens that you have $1 extra million, you can rent the whole island on 4 nights. This sounds too tempting. To be honest, I was surprised how with such level of prices and privacy they haven't yet installed jammers for drones. But in our hotel there are also villas on the water and I believe that they look brilliant, especially from the air. In addition to the standard items, when booking a resort to the Maldives you should pay attention to 5 more things. The first is the distance from Mali, so the trips to the resort do not finally finish your money. You shouldn't choose a hotel near the capital, as it's believed that the sea there is not very good, and it's not worth choosing a hotel on the edge of the country, as the trip there will cost a lot of money. Second, the presence of a living coral reef nearby. For example, we snorkeled 2 times a day. We saw turtles, sharks and many other bright fish that live in this reef. I will show you everything soon. It's also worth clarifying that there are day tours from local islands at the resort. It's unlikely that you will rejoice at the sight of crowds of people on the beach. Penultimate, are food and drinks included in the room rate? The last is seasonality at the resort. It's better to know about seasonal things at a particular hotel in advance. For example, we unfortunately arrived about 2 weeks after the manta season. It's the largest stringer species in the world with a wingspan of up to 9 meters and a weight of up to 3 tons. and it's completely safe for humans. Swimming with them is a dream that unfortunately remains for the next time. On the day before arrival, little turtles hatched on our island and fled into the ocean without waiting for us. Since I didn't manage to see the mantas this time, I had a full blast with their small-sized brothers. In our hotel they were fed every day at 6 p.m. Strangers like the Indo-Pacific sailfish swim to the shore to eat something tasty and show themselves to tourists. My approach for getting used to the strangers day by day. The first day, you will probably be afraid of them, you will only be able to watch them swim from the pier, and you will think about a tail that can produce more than 200 volts. The second day, you will go down to the beach, you will understand that they're not that dangerous and they generally look cute. And on the third day, you will see everything for yourself. He shook my hand. Strangers are found everywhere, but for some reason I have never seen them in the Black Sea in all those years. Sharks can swim with strangers for food, but they shouldn't be feared in the Maldives. However, when you see them while snorkeling, this thought can clearly make you anxious. There is something more dangerous in the Maldives. What do you think is the most common cause of death among adult Maldivians? Not among elderly people, but people younger than 15. It can be diseases, bites, dangerous animals, crimes, or coconut falling on your head. What do you think? The correct answer is coconut falling on your head. I want to say, if such a thing falls on your head from 5 meters, the consequence can be very dire. Therefore, every resort has a special person who watches over the palm trees to monitor the condition of the coconuts on them. If any of the coconuts ripen to the point that it can fall from the palm tree, then it must be cut off. Coconuts in the Maldives are like our wheat. They are eaten, used to make drinks, plates, some souvenirs, interior items, and much more. This is what a typical resort looks like if you walk through it. In reality, this walk takes 25 minutes. Judging by how many palms and other greenery are on our island, this guy who collects coconuts from the palms probably walks here full time. During the dry season, this employee has more work to do. If there is no rain for a long time, then the palms and other trees in the resorts are specially watered. Also, this is a tropical country. Almost all fruits and vegetables here are imported. Since there is practically no fertile soil and just extra land in the Maldives, I decided that the coconut I find under a palm tree is worthy of not only dreaming to have in my survey, but I will also try to open it. I found a coconut that fell from a palm tree and there is some water in it. I was persuaded to break it and try to drink from it. But the problem is that from what I googled, there are two ways to do this. The first is to open one from 3 holes in the coconut with a sharp knife. The problem is that firstly I don't have a sharp knife, and secondly there are no 3 holes here. The second is to break it in the middle with the flat side of a long knife. The problem is that I don't have a long flat-sided knife. I'm going to improvise now. If you are not interested in how I opened the coconut, then just fast forward the video by 3 minutes. But if you still decide to stay, you will see a real action-packed game with drama and denouement, and I also visualize how primitive people produced fruits. You will learn how to open a coconut that has just fallen from a palm tree. It's not all that simple. This is an abnormal coconut. It's without holes. I can't break it.
You can smash it on the floor.
20 minutes later.
Do you know how we can open it? Huh?
Open it.
But I want to do it by myself. Can I do it? Wow.
This is
Maybe I can't open by myself, yeah?
yeah.
That's all. Yeah, do you understand? There is a small one inside. Oh, it's it's much
Open
beautiful.
another one.
Thank you.
If you want to open another one.
Ну давай. Чуть-чуть есть. So, what I have to do? Yeah? Ага. What a kid he is. Thank you very much. It's very beautiful.
Okay.
I think I would have taken a long time to open it if I open it by myself. You can use it to bow.
Open it up.
It's not tasty. It tasted okay, but the very thought that you pick it up a coconut that fell from a palm tree, were able to open it and drink from it, make it very cool. Maldivian cuisine is not as rich as neighboring Indian or Arabic cuisine. A mix of which basically it is. Not many fruits and vegetables grow here, therefore traditional local cuisine is primarily fish dishes, but coconut and rice are also widely eaten here. Many tourists coming to the Maldives are faced with the problem of choosing the type of food. Depending on this choice, the cost of the entire trip can be very different. Therefore, I decided to talk about this topic separately. This information is more relevant to our hotel, but again, when talking about it, I will talk about a standard resort in the Maldives. So, we can't rent a villa without breakfast, therefore, there are only 4 options. This is a villa plus breakfast, villa plus half breakfast is breakfast plus dinner, villa plus full board is breakfast, lunch and dinner, and the villa plus all-inclusive is breakfast, lunch, dinner, free drinks and free excursions from our hotel. Go! Breakfast is a buffet, it's repeated every day, but the choice is quite large and varied. I personally haven't gotten tired yet of this repetitive food. I'm constantly finding new things to take, plus you will be given 2 types of juice or water. Or whatever you want to order from the menu for money. Dinner. This is a buffet for everyone. Every day is different. Today we had Asian food, yesterday was seafood, before that there was fish, Italian grand market. I looked at the schedule, 10 different dinners for 10 days. They are not repeated. Therefore, when you come, there is something to choose from, and sometimes you take more than you should have taken and eat. But there is a catch, there are no free drinks at dinner. You must order them from the menu if you are thirsty. To understand how much it costs, 1 liter of water costs $2.5 without taxes. A glass of juice or a little can of Coca-Cola will cost $4 without taxes. And if you want to take alcohol, then it may cost $50, $80 or $100 for a bottle of good wine without taxes. I will talk about taxes a little later. If you order full board, it will be the same as breakfast and dinner, only with lunch. If you order all-inclusive, it will be breakfast, lunch, dinner plus free drinks. The difference between breakfast and breakfast plus dinner is somewhere around $40 or $50 per night. Accordingly, if you stay here for 10 nights, it really makes a big difference. But don't be fooled if you ask my advice. Then I will say do not pay for the villa only with breakfast, because in the end you will spend more. You will still want to eat. You need to understand that on such island there is no store with any instant noodles. Anyway, you will go to the hotel restaurant, and here a good dinner for 2 persons can cost between $100 and $200. Therefore, in the end, you will still spend more. I recommend choosing between breakfast plus dinner and breakfast, lunch plus dinner. depending on how much you love to eat. We ordered breakfast plus dinner and go for brunch. We have enough. Really, we are okay with this. All-inclusive should be ordered only if you plan to drink a lot of cocktails and go on every excursion, then it will be justified. It's also worth clarifying when booking a hotel how much free water they will give you. For example, we are given 1 liter of water per person. A special person comes in the morning and leaves water for us near the villa. In reality, this is enough for us, or close at least. You need to understand that the water in the Maldives is almost like a gold. All the fresh water that is here is collected either from the rains or desalinated, and this is all very expensive. Also, in our resort there are 4 more bars with different themes. I would like to add that all the food is very satisfying, very tasty. To me, I like everything very much. My wife said that she didn't have enough passion fruit for breakfast. But in general, I think that you shouldn't give the Riti Beach Resort a low rating because of this. Now you have the information. I hope that you can choose the most suitable and the most ideal food in the resort. If you still take all-inclusive or just want to travel on different excursions, then I want to show you the excursion point at our resort. For example, now at the end of February you can swim with mantas for $190 per person without taxes, snorkel with turtles for $65, swim on a dolphin cruise for $45. You can pause and review all the other excursions. We took an excursion to a desert island, but I will talk about this in a minute. This excursion, for example, takes place only once a week on Wednesday. A situation may arise that you arrive at the resort to stay for 8 nights on Monday, you will get tired or just forget to come to the excursion point on the first day. As a result, you may miss the excursion or all places may be booked. And you may not go on the very excursions that you dreamed of going on in the Maldives. So it's better to book excursions on the first day. Now, our inhabited island. Well, we arrived at a deserted island and it turned out to be not so deserted after all. Since the deserted island was not so deserted, another idea came to mind. For 2 we paid $104 without taxes to come to this island. You can also rent a double kayak, 1 hour costs $20 excluding taxes. For example, it takes us 3 hours to swim to some deserted island, there and back, within a radius of 1.5 kilometers. This is accurate because I flew there with drone. You can arrive at this island in 40 minutes by kayak and it's completely at your disposal. Taking pictures, swimming in a bathing suit or without a bathing suit, and this is all just for you too. I think this is a very good idea. This is the island next to our resort and these are truly uninhabited islands. But in the end, it turned out not to be so bad. About 20 minutes later, a boat came for people from another resort. There are only 6 people left on our, as if uninhabited island. It doesn't seem so bad anymore. But all the same, when you imagine yourself on a deserted island, then there are no more 2 hotel employees and 2 tourists nearby. Personally, it seems to me that 1 hour in such a place is too short. But still, a trip to such an island just in the middle of the ocean is something that will be remembered for a lifetime. The color of the water is fantastic. In the Maldives it seemed to be beautiful everywhere, but the color of the water on this island was even better than on resort islands or local islands. Most of these uninhabited pieces of land are visited only during the day, when you get sunburned in 5 minutes of being in the sun. Therefore, it's not worth is going to such island in the first day of your vacation. This is because the tide is low during the day. Many islands simply go underwater early in the morning or in the evening. By the way, it's the lowest and flattest country in the world. Imagine, the highest point in the Maldives is 2.4 meters, which is less than the height of the ceiling in the apartment. According to UN forecast, by 2090 the Maldives may cease to exist altogether due to global warming. So take care of nature if you want your grandchildren to see this beauty. To take a beautiful photo or video on the beach without people, it's not necessary to go to a desert island. You can choose a private resort, go to the beach early in the morning or at noon when the sun is over 30 degrees. I think that on this sand in the summer when the sun is at its zenith, a whole hour on a desert island or lying like that for a long time will not work. It's calm here. This is all because of the special Maldivian sand. You know this scenario when it's 30 degrees, you are lying on a lounger and you need to run towards the sea on this hot sand that incinerates everything. This cannot happen in the Maldives. By the way, please note that the sand here is not yellow, as we are all used to, but white. This is because most of the beaches in the Maldives are coral in origin. They are produced by one fish which turns corals by eating them into sand. I will tell you about it a little later while snorkeling. If you are being factual, you can walk barefoot on this 30-degree sand and it won't heat up. Given this factor and the fact that there are no dangerous animals in the Maldives, most Maldivians walk barefoot around their islands. I'm so used to it. This has its own atmosphere that I can no longer imagine how soon I will be walking in sneakers or even worse, in winter boots in my city where I live. Horror. I said that the Maldives is a safe place and there is a snake on the beach. I don't know if she floated in with water or crawled on land, but it looks wet. I told the hotel employee about the snake and he drove it into the sea with a stick. She probably also looks Maldivian sand. In this country, 85% of all beaches are of coral origin. Moreover, there are only 5% of them in the world. Forbes recently made a list of the top 50 best beaches in the world. It includes 2 Maldivian beaches. On the one hand, this is not a lot, but on the other hand, one of them is located in our Ba Atoll, and I thought so because this country is only 298 square kilometers. There are so many other cool beaches in the world. So, I think this is a very good achievement for the Maldives. There is saying here, no shoes, no news, which means go barefoot, do not read the news and spend your carefree vacation on the white Maldivian beaches and the Indian Ocean. It seems like a very cool saying that reflects the essence of vacation in the Maldives. If you can't follow the saying due to some circumstances, then you should think about the local operator's card. The Maldives is a country where most world mobile operators do not have roaming at all. Mobile operators which work in here cost so much money that you will definitely not use it. Also, in many resorts, it's common for you to have poor Wi-Fi signal in your room. For example, on our Riti Beach Wi-Fi is available only in bars or lobbies. Therefore, in this country, it's better to buy a local operator card. For $30 you can buy a 17GB package and for $50 you can buy a 30GB package. There is 4G and there is 5G, so everything is covered, do not worry about it. This is important for 2 reasons. Firstly, you can post photos on Instagram on the stories, or combine your vacation with work if that happens. This is the first reason. The second, more important reason. This is the country where some kind of emergency can happen. For example, there is a storm at sea and the boat cannot take you from the resort to the airport. You need to be able to call someone or warn them. There can be many such situations, therefore you need to have a local operator card. This card can be purchased at Mali Airport. Look for 2 stores with these designations. Mali, by the way, is a very interesting city. When you fly by plane after you pass all the small islands that have already become familiar, you see some kind of giant, with skyscrapers, bridges, cars in the middle of the ocean. It's impressive. But according to reviews, there is no much to do in the city itself. By the way, this is the smallest capital among all Asian countries. Behind me is the largest island in the country, the only city and also the capital of the Maldives, the city of Mali. Unfortunately, I cannot go there now due to circumstances beyond my control. But I can tell you, about 130 and 140,000 people live here. This is not the most interesting thing. What's the interesting is that they live on an island of 6.8 square kilometers. It turns out that the population density here is about 20,000 people per 1 square kilometer. This is more than Tokyo or Hong Kong. It's time to snorkeling. So, my personal discovery in the Maldives is snorkeling. In fact, this is swimming in a mask with a snorkel and fins. How does it sound? I want to say that snorkeling got me very involved. I guess I even found a new hobby. I had such kinds of words, but the Maldives is one of the best places on the planet for snorkeling and diving. There are good reefs, it's always warm, safe, and there is a wide variety of corals and marine life. My personal favorite are the surgeon fish, shoals with yellow and blue fish. These fish process coral into sand. Yes, it's because of them that the Maldives have such cool sand. And of course, the turtle. And my worst are sharks. When you are swimming in the reef and you just turn your head, you will see a turtle in the wild. Your inside just flips. It's scary to imagine that before they were on the verge of extinction. The locals hunted turtles, ate them and used them to make souvenirs. Now all types of sea turtles in the Maldives are protected. In our resort, snorkeling with a turtle costs $65 excluding taxes, but if you are lucky you can see them simply during normal snorkeling. How else can you save money? You can buy new snorkel masks for $40 or second-hand for $15-20 at home. If they fit in a suitcase, then that would be a great idea. All these beautiful and diverse fish live here thanks to coral reef. In the Maldives, corals grew along the atolls, and there are so many of them that you can even see them from space. When we were choosing where to fly to, naturally there were many options, almost all countries possible at the moment. One of these options was the island of Zanzibar, but we gave it up, because most of the resorts there are located in the eastern part of the island, and they are open to the Indian Ocean. Because of this, there is one very big drawback. That's in the morning, and in the evening you can go swimming in peace, everything is cool. But during the day the ocean recedes 2-3 kilometers in some resorts from the coast. Therefore, to swim you need to walk another 3 kilometers towards the water. Because of this, there is another drawback there. When the ocean moves away from the shore, it leaves all sorts of algae, debris, dirt on land, and other not presentable things that unfortunately are in the modern Indian Ocean. The Maldives doesn't have such a problem, because all the resorts are located inside the atolls, and this is a protected structure. I specifically came to this place to record this part of the video because of the swim. You can see it now at 1 PM. To be honest, it's very hot. And now is the time of the lowest tide. The water is 25-30 centimeters below the swim, maximum 40. Now I'm inserting a video of what it looks like during the high tide at 8 AM. It seems to me that it makes an insignificant difference, which is not even visible to average tourists. Because of this, the Maldives has several advantages. Firstly, there is no large ebb and flow, that is, you swim when you want. In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, whenever you like. Secondly, a clean beach. Even if you sail to some uninhabited island, where no one is at the beach, it will still almost look like a bounty ad. If you go back to snorkeling, then you shouldn't snorkel at night by yourself, signs that can be hazardous to health. As always, we were lying on the beach in the evening, looking at the starry sky, and not far from us a man was night fishing. Who do you think he caught? Shark! Yes, a real live shark! After that, I didn't have any desire to snorkel or just swim at night. While I was recording a video about the ebb and flow, I burned it out. Recording a full 1 hour video at noon without sunscreen was a bad idea. Do not try it. Always use at least 50 SPF sunscreen in the Maldives, because the sun is very tricky here. Otherwise, half of your holiday on a paradise island can turn into a holiday in paradise in your room. So, for a couple of days, in the Maldives there were mostly sunrise and sunsets. There are also disadvantages in the Maldives. We already arrived not knowing what sunrise and sunset were like. The conclusion is that there are no beautiful sunrises and sunsets in the Maldives. I'm talking about the way it looks when the sun has gone down, and for another half an hour the flowers are so beautiful that you just sit there and freak out because of this beauty. At first I was upset. I thought why, how? And then I remembered geography lesson at school, when we were told that in Antarctica the rays of the sun beat along the ears, therefore it's always cold. And at the equator the rays hit the ground clearly, so it's always warm here. Probably for this reason there is no such look after sunsets and at the very beginning of sunrises. True, after the video I still had 1.5 beautiful sunsets, but all the same it was not enough. One of the places where you can see sunsets on Riti Beach is the Sunset Bar. Everyone is giving sunbaths, music, cocktails, a place that looks more like Bali than Maldives. There you can take alcohol, and I want to talk about alcohol in the Maldives separately. I don't need plagiarism here, stop! Cheers, friends! In addition to standard things which are prohibited from being brought in any other countries in the world, in the Maldives there are several more on this list. First of all, bringing in alcohol is prohibited. Yes, it's alcohol. Even if you buy it at the duty-free store, it will still be taken away at customs control when entering the country and will be given back when you are leaving the country. In addition to alcohol, it's prohibited to carry fishing equipment, literature that promotes any religion in the world other than Islam, and pork. So if your mom made a pork sandwich for you on your way, then you should eat it before arriving in the Maldives. Yes, in this country they are very strict with alcohol. It's completely prohibited. If a local resident is seen with a bottle of alcohol, then he can be imprisoned for the maximum jail time allowed in this country. And this is up to 25 years in prison for a bottle of alcohol. But the resort island have a loophole. Since there are no locals here, only tourists come here, you can buy alcohol, but it will be very expensive. If you go to the island with locals and stay in a guest house, then it will definitely be a vacation without alcohol. We need to take this into account. In addition, there is another feature of the Maldives. Dogs are prohibited here. Since this is a Muslim country, according to this religion, a respectable Muslim is forbidden to have a dog except for emergencies. You will vacation here without your beloved pet. Also, dogs works at customs. In addition, you should know things that you cannot export from the site. There are just 3 things: local money, corals and animal crafts such as turtles. All said, now I can have a drink. So, we went on excursions, snorkeled, ate delicious food, collected souvenirs and drank cocktails. The main question is, how much does it cost to relax in the Maldives during the season? Well, let's talk about money. If you want to fly to the Maldives during peak season for 9 or 10 nights, then find cheap flights. We, for example, flew in with Qatar Airways at $630 per person round trip. If you are lucky, you will find a good offer on the hotel website. This same trip can cost from $4,000 and above for two in the peak season. It seems to me that there is no maximum cost in the Maldives. You can fly to the guest house in the peak season probably somewhere from $2,000 and above for two, and in the off-peak season you can fly to the resort somewhere from $3,000 and above. The most interesting thing is that when booking, for example when you select the desired dates, the desired hotel, the initial amount will not seem so big, but then you will need to add the cost of the transfer to this amount, which can cost $100 or it can cost $700 for a round trip per person. Add ecological tax. If you divide all the taxes in the Maldives, then there are only three of them. The first is environmental fee. It's $6 per person per night in the Maldives. It's not included in the main price while booking, and there are two more taxes. This is 12% Maldivian tax and 10 or 11% is a service charge. It may differ depending on the resort. For example, at our Riti Beach resort it's 11%, and the most interesting thing is that you pay your bill at the resort at the end. It's common that if the resort doesn't write about additional taxes or they are written in small print and you haven't read it, then of course when you pay the final bill and 23% tax is added to it, definitely your mood will obviously drop. Also an important information. If you withdraw money from a card at a cash machine in the Maldives, there will be a commission of $10 regardless of the amount. There is also a tax of $25 for arriving at the airport, but basically all airlines included this tax in their ticket price. When we arrived by Qatar Airways, we didn't pay anything extra of the airport. Perhaps the last thing I want to tell you about is bonuses for newlyweds in the Maldives. Because wedding tourism is popular in this country. They can be very different depending on the resort. You can hire someone for free to arrange dinner on a desert island. If you talk about our resort, we were offered a fruit basket, a special bed decoration and a romantic dinner for two. Without going into details, I will say that for each of these bonuses we had to walk around and remind them at least 5 times about it. Dinner for just us alone, I somehow liked it. Everything else is just a law for a tourist on the booking site. Those thoughts feeling the thrill that one experience in the Maldives is priceless. When you stand near the shore of the ocean with your loved one and at it will relieve all those emotions. It's just the Maldives brain. The final, friends. Well, the last evening I just walked with Nastya. She is in her wedding dress. I also dressed it a little nicely, without jacket, but still, I want to say that the Maldives is a little heaven on earth. I guess it will be difficult for me to somehow adequately assess the rest, because it was on such an emotional roller coaster. For these 8 days, tomorrow will be the nice. During this vacation I stroked a stingray for the first time in my life, saw a turtle, Nastya saw a shark. We visited a desert island. Every morning we went out as far as 10 meters from the villa, and that is Indian Ocean and clear turquoise water. Well, it's just love. It's a little heaven on earth. I advise you to come to the Maldives at least once in your life. You will have an atmospheric, very private holiday. It wasn't prepared text for final, but it's from my heart. Friends, if you have watched this video to the end, like, comment and subscribe me please, because I'm trying for you. Bye bye, see you soon. Come on, kiss. Bye.